What's up, guys? UFC Fight Night Usman versus Buckley ended last night, and I'm here to recap it, go over the whole event, kind of break down what happened, and go over my fight picks, go over how we did. Didn't do the greatest last night. Started off all right, and then just kind of devolved into a shitty night. The fights were solid at first, and then they just took a nosedive into some not just like low skill fights, but people just were not wanting to fight. It seemed they didn't exchange. Fights were boring most of the night. The Discord group that I'm in, while we were watching the groups, multiple people kept falling asleep. These fights weren't good outside of the first few. The Buckley Usman fight was solid too. So let's get into it. I'm gonna start with the early prelims as well. Same with the breakdown or the predictions of the card. We ended up getting, I think it was 8 of 13 right, so better than 50%. We're still keeping that up, but barely at this point, it feels like. First, we go into the Jamey-Lyn Horth versus Vanessa Demopoulos. Vanessa Demopoulos looked like a mom who should not be in the cage against a trained fighter who was Jamey-Lyn Horth. Jamey-Lyn Horth is surprisingly skilled. I was, highly impressed with how she looked. Although it being she was fighting Vanessa Demopoulos. So, I mean, you can't take too much about, or you can't take too much of that performance. She was fighting Vanessa Demopoulos, a woman who shouldn't even be in the UFC, let alone fighting in general. Or she shouldn't be fighting in general, let alone in the UFC. Then we move to Angelusa versus Phil Rowe. I feel like I had this fight so right, and then Angelusa lost his mouthpiece and couldn't survive the loss of his mouthpiece. The referee never noticed it. It was over 1 minute of him having his mouthpiece out, and Phil Rowe, once he noticed that mouthpiece was out, like a crafty vet, just went after him, because it is much easier to be knocked out when your mouthpiece is out and you can't bite down and clinch and really help prevent that knockout. I think Phil Rowe had one literal death rattle left in the cage as he was losing this fight horrifically, and he pulled it off sure enough, and didn't look great doing it. He just pulled off the comeback. It was a fun fight in that sense, although it had been boring up until round 3, and there was a couple exchanges in round 2, I think. Good fight overall, though, I guess. Funny moments. There were definitely some odd, weird, funny moments on this card. We'll get into Rodolfo Bellato later. Ricky Simon defeats Cameron Smotherman through a decision. I thought this was very clear. Ricky Simon's just levels above Cameron Smotherman, and I feel like I might have said Simon, or not Ricky Simon. Cameron Smotherman just isn't on Ricky Simon's level. The kid just didn't have a good performance out there. He landed some solid shots against Ricky Simon, but this was an obvious late notice replacement. You could tell that this dude wasn't just on this level. He had already lost a fight much lower level than Ricky Simon, so I felt like this was an easy prediction coming in. But yeah, moving on to Jose Ochoa versus Cody Durden. I picked Jose Ochoa because of his finishing ability. I thought he would be able to get it done in round 1, actually. But very, very quickly in the round 2, he gets the job done. Or it was late. I can't even remember. The rest of the card ruined this for me. The rest of the card ruined these next 2 fights for me, I guess I should say, because these were great. Jose Ochoa just beat the shit out of Cody Durden, made him look like he didn't belong. Jose Ochoa is what a flyweight is supposed to do. You know, Cody Durden and all these other like veteran flyweights, they sit there and they'll throw one thing, throw a big overhand, a big hook, and they land it on their opponent and they expect them to like go to sleep from it because they're heavyweights, I guess. These guys think they're heavyweights, and they're not. They're flyweights. You need to put combinations together as a flyweight and land. You need to put more than one shot together as a flyweight to knock your opponent unconscious, because we have the same chins as other dudes. Like flyweights have the same chin as a fucking heavyweight. You have to hit them more and more just to knock them out because you're a much smaller little guy. But anyways, Ochoa looked amazing out there. Cut Cody Durden from the UFC or let the New Age beat up on him. I loved it. It was fantastic. Great job by Jose Ochoa. I want to see him in a good step up for his next fight. Moving on to the bantamweight division, we've got Malcolm Wellmaker versus Chris Moutinho. I called that Chris Moutinho would walk into shots. I had a prophetic moment during the fight night group with my Discord. I said Malcolm's really setting up these kicks hard to make him check the kick, and then he's gonna slam in a hook. Well, sure enough, he fakes a kick and throws a hook up and absolutely sleeps Chris Moutinho. Beautiful performance from Malcolm Wellmaker. I love that he sets up his striking. I love this new age of striker. This kid's good. He's got some serious power. I would love to see him get matched up. You know, I can't think of somebody right offhand right now, but maybe I'll make a next fights to come video where I can sit down and think about who to put together with him. But there are some great fights in his future, and he has a bright future. Moving on to people who don't have a bright future, we've got Michael Chiesa and Court McGee. This fight was the start of just the downfall of the weird and uneventful fights happening. You know, first off, we had Michael Chiesa start fighting Court McGee, and that just isn't. Nobody wanted this to begin with. Like I said in the pre-fight breakdown, I didn't want this 10 years ago when it was relevant, and I don't want it now. And it was such a horrifically boring fight. Michael Chiesa was too afraid to move into range against Court McGee, and wouldn't commit to takedowns. And he is a grappler. He has very not great striking, and it was very clear he had little to no setup every time he went to strike. I don't know how Michael Chiesa's been in the UFC as long as he has, and his striking is still as poor as it is. Please take some striking classes, for 6 months straight. Just no grappling at all. 6 months straight, just striking. And then you can come back to grappling again. I'm tired of Michael Chiesa. His performances are boring, dull, and just shit if they're not against a terrible fighter. And Court McGee's not one of the better ones, and he still had a shit performance. So there's that. Moving to Paul Craig versus Rodolfo Bellato, ending in a no contest. I am confused. I don't know whether Rodolfo Bellato is just acting, or if, as he got kicked by Paul Craig in the face while being a downed opponent, he had a knee on the ground, for those who didn't watch, and he was kicked in the face. So after that, though, while being kicked in the face, he looks over to the ref as he's falling backward and just flops out. So I don't know if he actually was delay knocked out, or if he was just acting. But if he was just acting, this dude came up with a 10,000 IQ play. He started pulling guard on the referee after waking up. He was attacking the ref's leg, trying to, I don't know if he was trying to berimbolo him, but he literally was trying to pull guard on the ref, making sure, that he was going to be safe. He's reaching out, grabbing under his own leg. Like, either Rodolfo Bellato was doing all he could to get a disqualification and just absolutely flopped, or this man got knocked out in the weirdest way. Hats off to him. Let's run the trilogy, you know? I'm here for it. Like, we lost the first one to herpes. We lost the second one to a no contest. Let's see what happens in a third fight. Maybe this is our new Tony Ferguson Khabib, you know? Except the fight actually happened once. Anyways, moving on to Alonzo Menifield versus Omar Sy. Terrible, boring fight. Two guys who really wouldn't move into range. Not really much I could say about it otherwise. I thought it was going to be some good black-on-black violence in Atlanta, and I was wrong. This one was one of the worst fights of the night, very, very easily. Moving into another not-so-great fight of the night, or fight this night, we have Monster Abdul Malik versus Cody Brundage. And, you know, any fight that Cody Brundage is in is going to be an odd, weird fight itself, but Monster Abdul Malik Malik, however it's pronounced, just had a lackluster, you know, poke and prod performance. He didn't really do much. There were a couple wild exchanges between the two. It wasn't one of the worst fights of the night, I guess I can say. Out of the 13, only a few were good, and this was one of the middling ones, so yeah. Just not a good fight, a night of fights. And all three Codys lost tonight. That's what we're going to get into, too. If you'd ran a parlay on that was actually pretty hilarious. I thought about running a parlay of all Codys winning, all Codys losing, but I knew that not all Codys were winning, not without something crazy happening for Brundage to win. We picked Cody Garbrandt to win a fight in Big 2025 against a 38-year-old man, and it just didn't work. He had some cool, like, clip farm moments where he was like, yeah, you know, I'm doing great out here, and, like, throwing his hands up and freaking out. He's so jittery, though, and I don't know. I'm just not a fan of Cody Garbrandt's style. I don't know if I can ever pick him to win a fight again. Maybe Hany Barcelos is just the ageless wonder. I don't know. Get him in there against Jose Aldo next, I guess. Retire him. Moving on to Edmund Shabazian versus Armand Petrosian. I picked the guy who got knocked out by a hip to get knocked out by Edmund Shabazian because, you know, Edmund has some power and some serious intent. But it went up to a decision, and like every other fight this card, it feels like. You know, although Edmund looked great, he didn't really have any moments of worry against Petrosky. There were some times where Petrosky got a takedown, but I think Shabazian got immediately back up. We picked Shabazian to win. It felt kind of obvious. A dude who got knocked out to a hip's not going to beat an actual pro fighter. Rose Namajunas. We'll try that again. Rose Namajunas versus Miranda Maverick. She beat her over a 3-round decision. It was a women's fight. There were a couple submission attempts from Rose. I'm not sure if I went over that in the breakdown because, you know, we just kind of flip a coin. But I did feel like she would get some submission attempts in. She did. Nothing was a threat, though. Rose still looks like Rose, I guess. She's alright. She's going to perform well against this level of fighter, but any step up above that, she's going to really, really struggle and probably not get the win. Moving on to the most surprising fight of the night, we've got Kamaru Usman defeating Buckley over 5 rounds. I thought Buckley was going to get the knockout here, and Buckley immediately showed a weakness to takedowns that wasn't there before, it felt like. But maybe it has been the whole time, and maybe it's something that he's going to need to focus on. I'm not sure if it was just like Kamaru Usman's way of shooting that makes him struggle, where he like reaches first and then shoots down. But Yeah, I'm really not certain. It's an awkward like way to shoot, but I'm not sure if that's what's giving or was giving Buckley his problems or not. But what a performance by Kamaru Usman! I was so impressed. I couldn't believe how good he looked against Buckley. It shocked me. I couldn't have expected this even last year. Like, I don't know. I guess I just discounted the performance against Hamzat, and I thought he wouldn't be able to do that after a year and a half off, and he sure did. He looked amazing out there. Yeah, yeah. Impressive performance from Kamaru Usman. Outstanding. He looked amazing. Um, his takedowns were unstoppable. Like, Buckley literally had nothing for it until the fifth round. And then when you saw the fifth round, you were like, wait. Where was this the whole time? Could have tried this. Anyways, that's gonna wrap up the breakdown of the card. It was a shit card overall. Like, the card literally put people to sleep multiple times over and over in our Discord. Not a good card for the weekend. I think BKFC was on at the same time. Should have watched that. I really don't remember. Like, I didn't watch any of it because I forgot it was on. But yeah. Anyways, the winner of our fight group like payment thing for my YouTube channel is one of the guys that I'm friends with that has joined the group. His name's Donner, so I'll be sending out payment to him, and yeah, right after that, Wednesday we'll have another breakdown of the card, or breakdown of the next card, and yeah, get ready to do this all again. So like, subscribe, make the payment go up for this contest. If you want to join it, I always link our Tapology group down below. Make sure you join our Tapology group. Make picks for each UFC fight night, or not just fight night, each UFC fight that is happening each weekend. We do picks. If you win, like how this guy did, you will receive however much money in US dollars that I have subscribers on YouTube. So if you want to make that payment go up, subscribe. If you want to win that money, join our Discord, or not our Discord, our Tapology group, and then participate. Make your picks. If you win, I'll send you money. Anyways, yeah, that's all it takes. You don't have to like actually sign up for anything crazy. Like, it's literally just a fight pick website, and then you can make some extra money on the side each weekend potentially if you just beat one of the 8 people that made fight picks. Aren't that many people in the group. You're gonna win some money. Enjoy it. It's a fun little thing I'm doing. Anyways, like, subscribe, like I said. I'll see you guys probably Wednesday for the next fight picks. We went 8-13. Not bad, not good, or 8 out of 13. Like I said, didn't do great, didn't do bad. The fight card sucked, though. I'll see y'all Wednesday. Bye.